Hey everyone, welcome back to our podcast. It's your host Akshat, and today's episode is going to be an exciting deep dive into the world of prompt engineering, Gen AI, and LLMs. We have got a fantastic guest lined up for you today. We have Sayan from Cognizant with us. Let's get started and hear from Sayan himself. So, Sayan, let's start with your professional journey and what got you into AI.
Hey, hi, Akshat. Thank you. Thank you for having me here. And uh, you know, uh, good afternoon, good morning, or good evening to anyone who is listening at different part of the world. And uh, I would like to start upon from my professional journey, right? As we have been discussing, right? So basically, I am working in the IT industry for close to 2 decades now, and when I started my journey, I started with doing kind of data integration and data modeling and design kind of a work. So basically, I was a core data person until 2015-16 around. Then I did some kind of data architect work. So I have taken different roles, encompassing across different business verticals. So that was like my me gradually developing a knack towards this world of AI and ML. It was quite early at around 20 to 2016-17 when I was quite keen to get into this kind of AI world. So from there, I started my work into this AI field, and from there, probably we moved slowly into this Gen AI. Gen AI is something like it's very new, as we know. Like for probably last 1 and 1.5 year, I've been working with generative AI. I'm leading a community of people in generative AI in Cognizant. Yeah, so that's what about me, and that is how we are actually trying to penetrate into this world, which is Gen AI to be specific, right? So Akshat, yeah, that's about me, Akshat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So now, can you tell us about any AI or LLM projects that you are currently involved in?
yeah, yeah. So yeah, basically, from Cognizant, as we know, as you know, that we have been leading this generative AI from the point it has been into the picture, right? So we have been what we can say that in we have been quite a quick start. We made a quick start into the world of Gen AI maybe a year back when we started with few POCs, right? We
Okay.
tried to understand few of the our consumers and our customer business use cases,
Mm-hmm.
and from there we have taken up projects in scale as well. Basically, I'm working with few of the retail and consumer goods global leaders, right? So with them I'm doing a various, there's a gamut of projects we are doing with them. So it actually encompasses around a lot of things, right? It starts from creating Gen AI chatbots for them for different consumer use cases. They have something for the data engineering acceleration we are doing for projects. We are also doing few of the projects which relates to semantic data search for the industry. So these are few of the areas we are working on, and for all of these, I'm kind of leading a team of different AI engineers, and here we are trying to do something good for our customers. So that's something we are doing now. Akshat. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
So you were saying like so there are
Mhm.
two basic things people talk about, like
Correct.
prompt engineering and LLM fine tuning.
Mhm.
Okay. Can you describe like how to balance between those, and like what are the challenges one
Right.
can see in data architecture in both the scenarios?
So yeah. So thanks for asking this question. This is a fantastic question.
Mhm.
And at its core, I would say that prompt engineering, I would say it's kind of a practice,
Okay.
and that requires a little craftsmanship, I would say, towards getting the desired output from the large language models.
Okay.
So here what we do, right, in the conventional world of AI and ML, what we used to do, right, we used to get some data, have those data pre-processed, do all kind of analysis on top of the data, have the domain understanding, then train our models, and from there we kind of proceed to get some kind of prediction of forecasting out of it. Right now, with the advent of Gen AI here, this prompt engineering, the buzzword that is around, right, that has come to the picture. Now, prompt engineering, to be put very simplistically, it's nothing but, in one word, like, you give such input to the large language model. A large language model essentially is a model which is pre-trained with a huge corpus of information already, right? And in that way, what you try to do is, what you try to get the desired output from the large language model. Now, if you talk about a large language model, for instance, GPT or Chat GPT, what we call, that is very much, is at the disposal of a common person, right? You can
Yeah.
go and ask certain questions to it for one word question, a couple of words. I'll try to get some explanation out of it, and
Yeah.
it will give you the answer. The major challenge that comes into utilizing or leveraging these large language models in a business context is how I am going to tailor the power of Gen AI or the large language model at the disposal of my customer business context, right? Because I use a large language model, a powerful large language model, for instance, the GPT-4 or GPT 3.5. But the GPT-4 or 3.5, even if I say it's like a pre-trained model, it does not understand my customer data. It does not understand the sales data or the inventory data or the forecasting data that my customer is working on, right? So there are two aspects of it here. When you talk about the tuning and prompt engineering here, what we do and what we have essentially done is,
Mhm.
like, we follow a standard operating procedure. When I say a standard operating procedure, is like, you know I cannot go to the chat window and ask the questions, right? I cannot play with my customer environment, so I have to find out a way by which I can programmatically access those large language models and make it tailored, fit with the data of my customer, and ensure that I get the right answers. So there are a lot of other aspects of getting the confidentiality of data, so on and so forth, which I may discuss.
Yeah.
First of all, let's understand and dig little deeper how we do this, like, from prompt engineering and LLM tuning, what you are saying.
Yeah.
So it's like, all these major cloud providers now, right? You talk about Microsoft Azure, you talk about AWS or Google. They all of them have come up with their all own flavor of having a platform by which you can access the LLM. So when most of the customers now, they are on cloud, right? And since they are on cloud, what happens is, in a way, they ensure that there are platform security that is anywhere in there, right? So
Mhm.
I am working on the cloud environment of my customer. Say, for instance, I'm using a Microsoft Azure, and from the Microsoft Azure, I have a Azure OpenAI version of the OpenAI that calls the GPT LLM in turn, and I can use that within the platform. Now, how I use that is the craftsmanship I was talking about. So first of all, I have to follow 4 5 steps here, right? First
Mhm.
of all, I have to get the data from my customer, right? I mean, the data on which I want to do my prompt engineering, right?
Yeah.
So that data can be in various forms or shapes and various formats, right? It can be stored in a database, it can be in form of files or something like that. So
Yeah.
what we have done in real time is, like, we have extracted that entire corpus of data, and
Mhm.
we have actually stored that data in a kind of a data lake or a blob storage in Azure, right? I mean, or maybe it can be any data lake in any cloud platform, for that matter. But we store the data. Now, when that data is there, in the secured environment, customer secure environment in a cloud platform, that data I intend to use as a corpus, or I use as a data, what we call it as a knowledge base,
Mhm.
by which I will actually use leverage my large language model, and uh, basis that data I'll try to get the answers. So this actually have a solution to it, okay, as a standard solution, that is been followed, a standard design solution. You first get the data, by some standard ingestion procedure, and you get the data in your, in a data lake or data storage in the secured environment.
Mhm.
Now you make API calls, secured API calls to those, to the, GPT or OpenAI large language model, and get that, that get an instance of it into your environment. Now your large language model is in your environment, your data is in your environment, right? Now comes prompt engineering that we have been talking about. Now I have to have, uh, you know uh, I have to design my prompts in such a way that my prompt starts interacting with that large language models and gets the answers from it. So that there is a lot of standard practices we do in prompt engineering for it, for that matter, right? For
Mhm.
example, a prompt, it should be written in such a way that it becomes very explicit, right? It should not be like I give a narrow description to it. I have a customer database data, for instance, and I try to get some intuition of the customer data using my large language model.
Mhm.
I cannot write a very high level, give me something, so and so from the customer data. I have
Mhm.
to give some context to it. In a way, I have to tame the, large language model so that it answers my question. For example, you have to give some context to it, right? What we call that is a standard RTF format. Okay, that is RTF standard is nothing but a role, task, and format, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
First, you start with a role. No, you tell that, hey, you are uh, experienced data analyst. When I'm trying to work with my customer data, I'm telling the writing the prompt in such a way. That is my role. Then I give some, task. What you have to do is, you have to read those SQL statements, and from there you have to extract this kind of information. And
Mhm.
once you're done with that, that is the task. You give the format, right? You export the data in some kind of a spreadsheet or something, right? So this
Yeah.
RTF is a standard, right? And while specifying the tasks, you give the prompt engineering techniques, like, a few shots prompting, and there are few techniques out of there. You give some context to it, by some generic statements, like whenever you read something like select, after that, get something from clause, after that you get something from the table name, this you understand as the table, that you interpret as a table. So when
Yeah.
you give those examples, right, it starts understanding that this is what is called an attribute, this is what is a customer attribute, this is a table name, and this is how I should interpret, and it starts giving the answers, no, to be specific, right? But it comes with a lot of other challenges as well
Mhm.
when we do that. One of the challenges could be obviously, overfitting, right? That happens in the standard ML world as well. This overfitting, it may become too narrow, and it when I'm doing the POC, I might see I'm getting the results well, but at the same time, when I do with a larger corpus of data, I might get the data
Mhm.
which seems to be, maybe fuzzy or out of context, right? Which we call something like a hallucination and things like that. So there are ways to, manage that as well. So yeah, so that's how we do, right? So Akshat, if I answer your question.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like you were telling about,
Mm.
various security challenges,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, in LLM. So can you mention some of them and like how to overcome them?
Yeah, correct. See, basically, everywhere I go these days, everyone is interested to know about the security challenges, and this is a hot topic, actually. To be honest, right? I mean, that's quite obvious, because what we have seen in real-time projects as well. I'm telling you, even our customers are also fascinated to see that the kind of, for instance, data analysis I was talking about, right? The kind of task a person on the ground as a data analyst was doing, maybe taking 2-3 days, the way after I do the prompt engineering into my LLM, and it is been done in few minutes. Now the question immediately comes, oh, hey, is this so productive that I'm doing a 90 to 95% acceleration? So the entire game changes, right? So the obvious question now comes is, AI being there, Gen AI to be specific, it's going to be the biggest revolution ever, as people are saying. So if it is so, what are the security things that comes in? One obvious question that customers we have seen that are concerned. This is OpenAI is something open. It is fed on the entire corpus of internet data. Is my data safe? That's number one.
Yeah.
And number two is obviously, I was talking about, right? If I get the output, will the output have any bias? Because there are chances that my LLM also gets hallucinated. Hallucinates. Hallucinates also in such a fantastic way. It's so convincing when he's giving the answers. It looks like this is the correct answer, but it is not. So there are other things like that. It can bring in some toxicity as well, like it can bring some context where something related to race, color, things which are not permissible might get into my data because it has been exposed to a lot of data. Now there is a concept which comes here is the global utilization and the local utilization of the LLM, right? Globally, it's open to the whole world. You go to the chat gpt portal and write a questions. You try to get a lot of things.
Mhm.
There are a lot of security guardrails already been there. Yeah, if you try to get those toxicity and those kind of answers, you will not get most of the cases. But when I do it locally, when I mean locally, I mean to say I do programmatically within my environment. There are 3 4 ways I'm ensuring the security. To answer your question, number one security is, since I'm doing within a secured cloud platform, these major cloud leaders, they are giving me assurance that your data is secured. And they have gone to that level that AWS is now saying that if you find some breach, I am going to have the litigation on behalf of you. Okay. They're giving that kind of assurance. They have their role based access controls within the cloud platform. They have their security firewalls, and all those things are there, like a
Yeah.
standard cloud infrastructural security is there as well. So
Yeah.
that's one level. That's anyway there, right? So
Mhm.
that's there. So basis that, on top of that, we are saying that, hey, I trust that you are providing all this, but still, as part of my engineering, I will also ensure that these are being captured. So what we have done, since we are working on cloud platform, that level of assurance guardrails are already there. On
Okay.
top of that, my guys, when they're doing the prompt engineering by themselves, they're trying to write the prompts, and from there getting the output.
Mhm.
Within the prompts where they're trying to get the answers, they have added some filters, classifiers as well,
Okay.
right? By which they say that, hey, if you find blah 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 this kind of contents, report this as a toxic
Yeah.
information.
Yeah.
If you find variations of so and so, report this as a bias. uh,
Yeah.
this kind of things we have programmatically also done, and trying to get a dashboard out of it. So what it ensures is, I am getting the guardrails from the platform itself. At the
Mhm.
same time, programmatically, I am ensuring those filters, and I'm running a dashboard at the end of my LLM or GenAI process, which shows me, okay, this is the task, this is the date it has been executed, what is the bias percentage, what is the toxicity percentage, if any, then stop there. Okay, stop there, halt there, and then again revisit. So this is an iterative process. This gets corrected in an iterative way. So as of now, what we have seen, that most of the cases, the cloud platform is such robust that we are not getting such things, but we are also capturing dashboard programmatically on top of that, if we have see any security breach, Akshat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now moving to production, like
Mm.
once you have deployed your, AI products in production,
Mm-hmm.
like how to think about it, scalability and like tracking performance there.
Correct. So there are not many instances, to be honest, where not only in my case, maybe most of the cases, the things are very much productionized now, but things are moving to production as of now, right? So we have already, for a couple of projects, what we have seen, we have already moved them to production. And when we move them to production, we follow the standard deployment strategies, that we normally do in normal data engineering pipelines as well, right? So if we think about the architecture as a whole, the POC I can do in any environment, any dev sandbox or something of that sort. But when I move to production, right? So any standard architecture, it should have what I mean. It should have a ingestion component to it. It should obviously have one storage to it, and it should have a solution to it, right? To be specific, right? We follow some standard de facto standards, what we call a retrieval augmentation generation or a RAG to it, right? So you have one place from where you get the user information as well, and you have one point by which the orchestration also happens. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
So all these are being pipelined. The standard we are writing in code notebooks using Python. Programmatic things are being done by Python langchain standards by which you can have an interaction with the LLM, and those notebooks go into a standard deployment architecture using a DevOps or CI/CD kind of a thing. So that is anyway we are following the standard scalable architecture that is there for data engineering, right? So that's where it's kind of ensuring the scalability.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now moving to new persons, like what kind of a skill set one should hone in today's
Hmm.
scenario to build a great AI product or to be a part of a great AI team?
Yeah, so that's a very good question, and I think sooner or later, people, the kind of buzz it's created and the kind of growth trajectory that we see ahead of us, like
Mhm.
across the board, right? What we see, there is obviously a need of skilling people and getting people, because the opportunities are there, are there in plenty coming down the pipeline. We are seeing a lot of opportunities coming in the first quarter of 2024 as well, and they are getting there. So this challenge is there for all of us, right? For even within my organization, I see most of the people have been working for a long time in defined skills, and if you try to get some people from fresh, they also need to hone few skills, right? So this is there. So what I would say, like, this is this requires uh, an understanding of coding. Okay, coding I say, but this is not like someone has to be a great coder for that instance, right? But someone needs to understand. For instance, I have a platform like, for example, Python, right? I need to understand how I'll call the different packages in Python, or how I'll interact, or how I'll make the API calls, for instance, right? So this is all about making the API calls and writing the prompts. And for writing prompts, this is this is no technical skill actually. Prompts is, you need to know how to you need to write good English. You need to write good explicitly English statements, right?
Yeah.
So that's a skill, I would say. I keep on telling my guys as well, right? Understand, if there is someone on the other side who is a human, and you have to explain that guy, you have to write those, you cannot write in one liner and he will understand everything. You have to go deep, you have to be explicit, and you have to structure it as per the standard operating procedure. So that is one of the skill that I would say. That's why I said it's little bit of craftsmanship that's there. Okay.
Okay.
So that's there. And obviously, since everything will get at scale and in production using cloud architecture, going down the line as well. So obviously we need to know the few basic services of any cloud platform, that how we ingest, how we store, how we actually have a blob storage, how we call the defined pipelines, things like that. Normal basic cloud skills that comes in a data engineering. In addition to that, maybe understanding of coding, any coding for say, but Python is something we are using. In addition to that, you have to have an understanding, and on top of all this, you need to understand data. I mean, that's anyway given there, right? When you when you for instance summarize a document or something of that sort, you need to understand how that document is organized and what is the context and what is the content of that document, right? So those kind of analytical skills we need to develop and hone as a community, I feel.
Okay. And like this is a very fast moving landscape. So how
Correct,
do
correct.
you ensure like you are up to date with the evolving technology here?
This is actually, Akshat, I would say this is a very difficult question to answer, because how fast it is moving. We just can wonder, like, I see something today and tomorrow it's changing, right? Tomorrow it's changing.
Yeah.
So this will go on for some time until it reach some break even point where it is little bit of stabilized,
Yeah.
right? Few of the technologies that are coming in from the major technology providers, that those are also changing, because they are also trying to enrich their models and this entire landscape in such a way that it becomes better with time. So the future is multimodal, right? Already it has started, right? When I say multimodal, it can be audio, video, text, everything.
Mm-hmm.
That is the future, right? So and the cloud providers, they are also the technology providers, they are also working in such a way that they can provide service in for each of these, right?
Yeah.
So I think we should, my thought process to it is, we should drive it from the business side, right? I mean, from the business thought process, if we are up to date in such a way that I understand, hey, what is happening in the healthcare world, and what is happening in the retail world, and what is happening in the banks, right?
Yeah.
So they are the ones who are going to drive the requirement and the demand, right? I mean, if I know that my retail world is actually moving towards an augmented reality, where by which they need some videos and stuffs like that, at the same time they need the textual and the audio things as well. They need to actually have a customer interfacing bots as well to text. So I understand how that side of the world, the business side of the worlds are moving. And once I understand that, I will probably have to keep me up to date, like how I will stay in sync with this fast moving Gen AI. I mean, Gen AI is going to very quickly catch up with the business side of the world. That's how it is happening. So I think, keep on reading, and keep the eyes open every day. Try to at least see that, what's happening around the world in different business sectors, how people are coming up with cutting edge things, innovations and all. And from there, try to see what's the major technology providers have to provide at this some point, at the point in time, and then probably go deeper into like how to implement that. So probably keep a super speedy awareness is something, I don't know how to do that, but that's something we should all aim at.
Okay. So then I am done with my questions. So any parting thoughts for the audience?
No, my parting thoughts will be this is generative AI is going to it's not my thought, but it's what I understand, looking at the landscape. It's going to change things a lot, obviously. It is not something, there are few rumors, I would say, that people say that no, it will replace people. It is not that. It's all we know, it's like a co-pilot, we say, right? When what is the meaning of co-pilot is, both will be there, like human AI based combination will be there. So I think we all should feel rather motivated and fascinated that we are witnessing such a great technological revolution that's happening around. And if that is the case, try to keep ourselves updated, skilled, to sync up what's there in the future. We don't know what's the future, but at least we can traverse the trajectory along with how it's moving, right? So that's my thought. And I would like to wish all your audience and all your people good luck and all the best. And I think as a whole community we can prosper with this skill, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's all for today, folks. Hope you loved listening to Sayan and had great insights from this episode. Please leave your questions in the comments and we will reach out to Sayan to answer those for you.
Sure.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Akshat. Thanks once again for giving me the chance to speak to you and to through you to all your audience. I think it was a good discussion, and looking forward to any questions you have. We'll obviously catch up on that. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks a lot, Sayan.
Thank you.